Welcome to the Agoura Hills City Council meeting. This meeting is being conducted in person in the council chambers and also by utilizing video conferencing. Please silence all cell phones and other electronic devices and do not access Zoom during the live meeting as it will cause interference with the audiovisual system in the council chambers. Tonight's meeting may be viewed on Zoom via the link on the agenda by live stream on YouTube by entering Agoura Hills City Council meeting in your browser and clicking on the link for September 13th, 2023, or view the live or archive meeting on the city's website at agourahillscity.org and click on the Watch Meetings Online button. I will now defer to the city clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Anstead. There will be an opportunity for the public to speak on any item listed on the agenda. Any person in the council chambers who wishes to speak or submit a written comment is requested to complete a comment card for each item and submit to the city clerk prior to the public comment portion of the item. Comments submitted at the meeting will be provided to the city council for review and filed with the official record. For any person participating remotely, written public comments were requested to be emailed by 4 p.m. today and distributed to the City Council in advance of the meeting. To request to speak during public comment, please click on the raise hand button on the Zoom toolbar. Request to speak must be received prior to the mayor closing the public comment portion of the item. Public testimony for all speakers is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Written public comments will not be read aloud by the city clerk. For full details, please refer to the public participation section on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now call this meeting to order. And for the Pledge of Allegiance, I will defer to Girl Scout Troop 176.
Audience, please rise. Color Guard advance. Color Guard post colors. Those in not uniform, please place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color Guard dismissed. The audience may be seated. Thank you.
Thank you, and I would like to thank Girl Scout Troop 176 for that great ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Good evening. Councilmember Lopez? Here. Councilmember Sylvester?
Here.
Councilmember Wolf?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber?
Present.
Mayor Anstead?
Here.
Mayor Anstead, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We did not have a closed session, so nothing to report there. We'll now move on to the approval of the agenda. Will the maker of the motion and a second to approve the agenda please state your names?
Councilmember Wolf, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Councilmember Sylvester seconds.
Thank you. I'll now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Lopez?
Aye.
Councilmember Sylvester?
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber?
Aye.
Mayor Anstead?
Aye.
Mayor Anstead, you have approval 5-0.
Thank you very much. There are no presentations this evening. We'll now move into intergovernmental special purpose committee and departmental reports, and I believe there's a report from the city manager.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Anstead and members of the City Council. I just wanted to take a brief moment to introduce our new Director of Finance, Diego Ibanez, and he is over there, and he's joining us for the first time this evening, first week here, so he's made it back for a couple days. He's sticking it out. And we have Christy Trilson with us just for a little bit longer before her retirement. And so we've got just a little overlap just so she can help kind of help Diego just find out where the restroom is and all the books are and all the good stuff. So, you know, so, but I'm really glad to have him aboard, and I just wanted to take the time to introduce him. And if there's anything that he'd like to say, I'm going to put him on the spot.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nate. Just very happy to be here. Really am learning a lot, feeling very, very welcomed by the staff, and this is my first council meeting of many, many. I hope so. So very happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
You got it. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it, and welcome aboard. Are there any other reports from City Council or staff? Okay, we'll now move into public comments. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items not listed on the agenda that are under the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. For council chamber attendees, please submit a public comment card to the city clerk. For Zoom attendees, please click the raise hand button on the Zoom toolbar now. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons addressing the council shall not engage in disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. We respectfully request that if you have something to distribute to the council, you hand it to our clerk and do not approach the dais. I will now defer to the city clerk for public comments.
Thank you, Mayor Anstead. No written public comments have been received, and no speaker cards have been submitted. I'll now defer to staff for any remote participants. Amber?
Good evening, Mayor Anstead. There are no hands raised to speak on this item.
Thank you very much. We'll now move to the consent calendar. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items on the consent calendar. For council chamber attendees, please submit a public comment card to the city clerk. For Zoom attendees, please click the raise hand button on the Zoom toolbar now. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. We respectfully request that if you have something to distribute to the council, you hand it to our city clerk and do not approach the dais. I will now defer to the city clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Anstead. No written public comments have been received, and no speaker cards have been submitted. I'll now defer to staff for any remote participants.
Thank you, Mayor Anstead. No hands are raised to speak on this item.
Thank you. Are there any questions from City Council on the consent calendar? None? Okay, seeing none. I will now call for a motion and a second to adopt the consent calendar. Will the maker of the motion and second please state your names?
Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber, so moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Deborah Klein Lopez, second.
Thank you. I will now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Actually, I have a comment.
Sure.
I'm sorry if that's
Sure.
out of order, but I just wanted to comment on item number number 8. I didn't want to pull it off the agenda because it's pretty limited, and I support what's on the agenda about the fees for the permit. But I would like to take a deeper dive someday because I'm not sure that really gets us where we want to be. I assume we want to not have a charge for the permits to maintain, trim your oak trees because we want to encourage people to do it properly and that they would still plant oak trees. But I'm concerned that the real bulk of the expense there, and this is why there's probably not a lot of people getting permits, is the arborist costs. And, you know, it's just something to think about maybe at a budget workshop if we want to help subsidize that for people. I think it's important to have an arborist, but just something to talk about on another agenda item. And secondly, education. None of my neighbors know that you need a permit to cut an oak tree until I hear the vroom, vroom, vroom at 7 in the morning. So, and you know, they're good people and they want to do the right thing, but they just don't know. So I'd really like to see that at a later date that we talk about an education campaign so that people know that they need a permit, and now the permit is free.
Thank you for those comments.
Thank you. Otherwise, I'm ready to move forward.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll defer to the city clerk for a vote.
Councilmember Lopez?
Aye.
Councilmember Sylvester?
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber?
Aye.
Mayor Anstead?
Aye.
Mayor Anstead, you have approval, 5-0.
Thank you very much. Our next item for public hearing ordinance is a public hearing to consider ordinance number 23-473, amending the Los Angeles County Fire Code, California Building Code, and Articles 3 and 8 of the Agoura Hills Municipal Code, and to adopt resolution number 23-2047, making the findings that amendments to the 2022 fire and building codes are reasonably necessary due to local climatic, geological, or typographical conditions. I will now open the public hearing and defer to building official Lucas Quash for the staff presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, and honorable council members. So at the last city council meeting on August 23rd, staff presented an ordinance adopting the 2023 Los Angeles County Fire Code by reference. As part of the Los Angeles County Consolidated Fire District, the City of Agoura Hills is obligated to adopt the 2023 Los Angeles County Fire Code so that the county can uniformly enforce the same fire code. The adoption of the fire code helps facilitate the county fire department in administering and enforcing rules and regulations based on the technical codes. The LA County Fire Department provides fire protection and emergency services for the city of Agoura Hills and dozens of other adjacent cities, as well as the unincorporated portions of the county. With the adoption of the county fire code, staff proposed removing the 5,000 square foot threshold exception for requiring automatic fire sprinkler when building an addition of 50% or more in order to safeguard a higher level of fire protection for the homeowners in Agoura Hills. At the August 23rd City Council meeting, the City Council waived full reading and introduced ordinance number 23-473 and set the public hearing for the adoption of the 2023 Los Angeles County Fire Code for September 13, 2023. This evening, staff brings the proposed ordinance along with a resolution making the required express findings to the City Council for adoption. Staff respectfully recommends the City Council conduct a public hearing and adopt ordinance number 23-473 and adopt resolution number 23-2047, making express findings that the state code amendments are reasonably necessary because of local climatic, geological, and topographical conditions. Captain Mark Tyler and firefighter specialist Joshua Costello from the Los Angeles County Fire Department and I are available to answer any questions should you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to public comment, does any council member have questions? Staff presentation? None? Okay. I know that we discussed this in depth at the last meeting. So, written public comments were requested to be emailed in advance of tonight's meeting. If you wish to speak, please click the raised hand button on the Zoom toolbar now. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. We respectfully request that if you have something to distribute to the council, you hand it to our city clerk and do not approach the dais. The public hearing is open. I will now defer to the city clerk for public comments.
Thank you, Mayor Anstead. No written public comments have been received and no speaker cards have been submitted. I'll now defer to staff for any remote participation.
Thank you, Mayor Anstead. No hands are raised to speak on this item.
Thank you. Before closing the public hearing, do any council members have any questions of staff? One more time, just to make sure. All right. There being no further questions, I will now close the public hearing. Before we move on to deliberations, I'll ask again, does any council member have any further comments? All right. We'll now move on to deliberations. I guess I'll start with Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber.
I have no further comments. As you stated, Mr. Mayor, we discussed this at length last time. Thank you for coming back tonight. I know last time you were here, it was quite lengthy. You almost missed it tonight. I like and approve of the change that we made with the sprinkler system, and so I'm ready to move forward. I can make all the findings.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Councilmember Sylvester.
Excuse me. I, too, am ready to move forward. I think any requests that come from the fire department, we should honor, and we appreciate everything you do to keep our community safe. So thank you. I'm ready to move forward.
Thank you. Councilmember Wolf.
Yeah, I can make all the findings, but one issue that I would like to discuss with staff is the possibility of reaching out to some of the child care centers that don't have the sprinklers. While we're not, it's not mandatory that they implement them, I think it would be beneficial for us to at least reach out to inform them what the possibilities could be. And I'm not quite sure what that looks like. I talked with City Manager Hamburger a little bit about that, but the possibility of the city reaching out to just provide a little bit of information to say, you're in compliance, but it might behoove you for the safety of everyone who goes there to implement some sort of sprinkler system. So that's kind of my comments.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Lopez.
Thank you. I agree with my council members. I was also going to say we didn't make you sit through 2 hours of a sign ordinance. So maybe it all evens out, on average. It's certainly worth your time coming out, I hope, and we really do appreciate your partnership with our staff, and agree with Councilmember Wolf that, trying to push for further safety issues for particularly our youngest residents and community members would be helpful. Maybe that could come back to land use, economic development, or public safety, public works. I don't know where that would go, but also able to make the findings and ready to move forward.
Thank you. And I also can make the findings, and I think it's I think that it was useful discussion that we had last time concerning the sprinklers with the less than 5,000 feet and the cost element compared to improving a home over 50%. So I can definitely make the findings and move forward. So I will now call for a motion and a second to approve the staff recommendation to adopt ordinance number 23-473 and resolution number 23-2047, making express findings that the state code amendments are reasonably necessary because of local climatic, geological, or typographical conditions. Will the maker of the motion and a second please state your names?
Councilmember Sylvester so moves.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber seconds the motion.
Thank you. I'll now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Sylvester.
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber.
Aye.
Mayor Anstead.
Aye.
Mayor Anstead, you have approval 5-0.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments from staff? Okay, I'm going for a record here. All right. Is there any comments from council members? And actually, I am looking for comments from council members. Sure, Councilmember Lopez.
I'll make a comment.
Sure.
I want to say welcome to Diego. We're so happy to have you on the team, and please let us know if there's anything you need from us. Councilmember Wolf and I are on the Finance Committee, so we're looking forward to working with you. And yes, you do have big shoes to fill, and I'm sure you've heard that over and over again the last few days. So welcome. And I also just wanted to let my fellow council members know that, and our team, that I'm looking forward to the League of California Cities next week. I don't think the public understands really that we do join together with cities like ours, incorporated cities, and we have workshops and we talk about policies and implementations, and we work together to make sure that our voices are heard, which is particularly important for small cities like ours. So really excited to see you all, including Candace Lee, and we're going to get some stuff done up there. So we'll see you then.
And this would be the time to make general comments. We've
Yes.
moved on. Okay.
Any comments?
I want to thank, I have a few people I want to thank. We had a really successful creek cleanup this weekend. We had about 135 participants came, and we filled up an entire dumpster. Without the volunteers, all the trash would have remained in our creeks and our waterways. I want to thank, and I'd been telling everyone that this was the 10th year I had been involved, but this event has actually been going on for about 15 or 16 years, so I appreciate the clarification. But I want to thank Amy Brink, I want to thank Nick, I want to thank Kelly Fisher, I want to thank Mayor Anstead and the council for attending, and I want to thank our Public Works Director, Jessica Forte, for attending. We had our assembly member who was there, and that was really wonderful. We had staff from our supervisor's office, we had staff from our state senate office. We had a great showing. It was 97 degrees, I think, by the time it ended. But we filled up a whole dumpster once again, and I really appreciate the staff's help on this. It's a wonderful community event, and thank you all for making this happen. It was, again, another successful creek cleanup. So thank you. And transitioning, this is the last week of the California legislature's session. So I recommend the council kind of follow what's going on. There's a lot of housing bills that were approved today through the Senate and the Assembly. It's going to affect us tremendously. We'll kind of know the ramifications by the end of the week, but today, tomorrow, and Friday are kind of crunch time. So I recommend to be following that closely so we can be on top of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
I would just add to the Clean Up the Creek. It was once again a great event. I love that event. Interestingly enough, this year I found a tremendous amount of brain freeze, the styrofoam. And it's been a few years. I've always found a little, and I've always found a lot of plastic, but I would just encourage our residents, when you're out there and you have a choice, try not to take the styrofoam. It just completely breaks up and goes into the creek. The plastic's not a whole lot better, but it doesn't break up as into such tiny pieces. And paper, of course, would be the best. So go to your local takeout restaurants and see what you can do to try and encourage them to switch over to paper. And then I just want to wish all of our, members of our Jewish community and their friends and family Shana Tova, to wishing them a Happy New Year. The Jewish community is embarking on the 10 days of awe, and it's a real spiritual and fun and time that we recognize and mourn for our ancestors, et cetera, et cetera. So to everybody, happy and healthy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember.
And just finally, Mayor Ansett and I yesterday attended the Captain C2's prayer breakfast. It was wonderful to see representatives from all our local cities come. And what she stressed so much, and I think is so important, is that, our sheriff's department, our fire department is here to protect and serve us, but they also need our help when there's an emergency, so that she can reach out to the various religious communities in our area and to the cities and their staffs to help them, support them as well. And it's wonderful to see that partnership working so well. I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also want to comment on that I really enjoyed that. And I think to have all the different religious groups there at that ceremony, I think was fantastic. And Captain C2, this is the second one that she's put on, so I really wanted to thank her for doing that. And at the same time, the other thing this week, unfortunately, we're real close to September 11th, and with the fire bill that we just actually passed, that really was something that kind of combines with September 11th, just in the fact of we lost so many firemen and policemen and trying to save people in the World Trade Center. And again, the Pentagon and also Pennsylvania that we lost that day. So I just want to maybe have 1 minute of silence to always remember the people that we lost on September 11th. And so just 1 minute of silence for a second. Thank you. And with that, the next regular City Council meeting will be held at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, September 27th, in the council chambers of the Civic Center. It is anticipated that members of the public will have the opportunity to participate in person in the council chambers or by remote video conferencing. Will the maker of the motion and a second to adjourn please state your names?
Councilmember Deborah Klein Lopez moves to adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber seconds the motion.
Thank you. I'll now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Lopez?
Aye.
Councilmember Sylvester?
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber?
Aye.
Mayor Anstead?
Aye.
Mayor Anstead, you have approval, 5-0.
Thank you very much. This meeting is now adjourned.